Chosen one, stop. Right where you are, stop. Are you tired of praying to a God who seems to have put you on hold? Have you been whispering the same desperate prayers into empty air for months, years, decades, wondering if heaven has your address wrong? Do you wake up at 3 a.m. feeling like the world has moved on without you, like you're invisible even to the Almighty Himself? Listen to me carefully, chosen one. What I'm about to tell you will either ignite your soul or shatter every lie you've believed about your purpose. This message is disappearing. Not tomorrow, not next week. Right now, as you're hearing these words, something is trying to pull you away from this moment. The enemy knows what's coming. He's terrified of what happens when you hear what heaven has been whispering about you. You didn't find this message. This message hunted you down. Like manna falling in the wilderness, this word from God won't last until tomorrow. If you walk away now, it dissolves into nothing. But if you consume it, if you let every syllable sink into the marrow of your bones, it will sustain your soul for the rest of your days. Here's the shocking truth they don't want you to know. You have been invisible by design, not forgotten, hidden, not overlooked, protected. While others got easy paths, you got the wilderness. While they received applause, you received silence. But that silence, that wasn't abandonment. That was God holding His breath, waiting for this exact moment when the world would be desperate enough to need what only you carry. You think you're too old. Moses was 80 when God called him to split seas. You think you've been forgotten? Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the Messiah. You think your time has passed? Abraham was 99 when God gave him nations. Before we go deeper, and I'm about to take you to places your spirit has only dreamed of, I want to pause and thank every single one of you who has supported this message through super thanks. Your generosity means more than you know. You're not just donating, you're helping spread light to others who feel alone in their calling. Whether you give or not, I'm deeply grateful for your presence here. Your support, your time, your attention, it all matters. And if this message resonates with your soul, go ahead and sow that seed of faith. But listen, if your heart is beating faster right now, if something deep inside just stirred awake, don't let go. Comment, I receive, as a declaration to heaven that you're ready. Stay until the very end, because what I'm about to reveal will explain why your life has been so hard, why the attacks have been so fierce, and why your breakthrough has been delayed until now. Heaven doesn't repeat itself twice. This flame is already flickering in the wind. Will you let it die, or will you let it ignite the eternity burning in your chest? The countdown has already begun. Why does it feel like God speaks to everyone except you? Why do others seem to hear His voice crystal clear, while you're left wondering if He's even listening? Why has your spiritual phone line been busy for so long that you've started to believe maybe, just maybe, heaven has moved on without you? Here's the raw truth that's going to shake you to your core. There are messages that echo through eternity, carved in stone like the 10 Commandments. And then there are whispers, divine whispers, that dissolve the moment you turn away. Sacred words that vanish if you're not ready to receive them. Which one is this? Look around you right now. Look at the exact time on your clock. Notice where you're sitting, what you're wearing, the feeling in the air. This isn't just another Tuesday afternoon scrolling through videos. This is your appointed moment, your divine intersection, and if you miss it, it won't circle back around. The Bible warns us in Hebrews 3:15, "Today, if you hear His voice, harden not your hearts." Today, not tomorrow when you feel more spiritual, not next week when life calms down. Today, right now. In this very breath you're taking, as my words hit your ears. You see, beloved, God doesn't operate on your timeline. He doesn't wait for your convenience. When He speaks, it's now or never. When He moves, you either move with Him or watch Him pass by like a train pulling out of the station. You can chase it down the platform, but once those wheels start turning, once that whistle fades into the distance, that particular train is gone forever. And this message, it's your train. I need you to understand something that might terrify you. Out of 8 billion people on this planet, out of millions scrolling through their devices right now, this word stopped for you. It didn't pass your screen by accident. It didn't randomly appear in your feed. Heaven picked your name out of the multitude and said, "This one, this chosen one needs to hear what I'm about to say." Do you feel that weight settling on your chest? That's not anxiety, that's recognition. Your spirit knows I'm telling you the truth even if your mind wants to argue. You've been walking through life feeling invisible, haven't you? Feeling like everybody else gets the breakthrough, the answered prayer, the miracle, while you're still waiting in line. You've watched your children succeed while you struggle. You've seen your neighbors prosper while you pinch pennies. You've witnessed others find love again while you sit alone with memories that both comfort and torment you. But what if I told you that your invisibility was intentional? What if every closed door, every delayed answer, every season of silence was God hiding you until this exact moment? What if you weren't forgotten, you were being saved for such a time as this? Think about Moses. 80 years old when the burning bush changed everything. 80 years of thinking his moment had passed. 80 years of believing God had moved on to younger, stronger vessels. But God was just waiting for the right time, the right crisis, the right intersection of heaven and earth, where an old shepherd would become the deliverer of nations. Think about Anna the prophetess, 84 years old, widowed after just 7 years of marriage, spending the rest of her life in the temple. 84 years of what others might call wasted time. But when baby Jesus walked through those temple doors, she was the first to recognize the Messiah. Her age wasn't her disqualification, it was her credentials. The world measures worth by youth, by productivity, by what you can do tomorrow. But God measures worth by faithfulness, by endurance, by what you've already survived. And you, dear chosen one, you've survived what would have destroyed lesser souls. Every heart attack that didn't take you out. Every depression that tried to drown you. Every betrayal that should have broken you. Every financial crisis that could have buried you. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still believing. That's not luck. That's divine protection over someone heaven refuses to lose. But here's the urgency that should grip your soul right now. Windows don't stay open forever. This spiritual moment, this divine intersection where heaven is speaking directly to you, it has an expiration date. And that date is approaching faster than you think. I can feel it in my spirit as I speak these words. Something is shifting. The same God who told Lot's wife not to look back, who told the Israelites to pack quickly because deliverance was coming at midnight, who told Noah the rain was about to fall, that same God is saying to you right now, don't let this moment pass. This isn't about fear. This is about faith. Faith that recognizes when God is moving and moves with him. Faith that doesn't need to understand the full picture to say yes to the next step. Faith that trusts divine timing, even when human timing seems off. The train is at the platform. The doors are open. The conductor is calling, all aboard. But in just a moment, maybe by the end of this message, those doors will close and the train will pull away. And if you're not on it, you'll spend the rest of your life wondering what could have been. If you believe this message is your sign, if something deep in your spirit is confirming that this word was meant for you, type Amen in faith right now. Don't think about it. Don't analyze it. Just respond to the stirring in your soul. Because what I'm about to tell you next will explain why this window opened today, why your suffering has been so intense, and why your breakthrough has been delayed until this exact moment in time. The vanishing window is still open, but it won't be for long. You want to know why your life has been so hard? Why every step forward felt like you were walking through quicksand? Why, when others seemed to glide through life, you had to crawl through broken glass just to survive another day? It's because you were never meant to be ordinary. Listen to me, dear one. The weight you've been carrying, that crushing pressure on your chest that wakes you at 3 a.m., that exhaustion that 8 hours of sleep can't touch, it's not depression, it's not old age. It's the weight of a calling so massive that God had to spend decades preparing your shoulders to carry it. You think you're broken? You're not broken. You're refined. Think about gold for a moment. Pure gold doesn't come from a jewelry store. It comes from the earth, mixed with dirt, rocks, and worthless metals. But when a goldsmith wants to create something precious, something worthy of a king's crown, what does he do? He puts that raw gold into the furnace. He cranks up the heat until everything impure burns away. The higher the temperature, the purer the gold becomes. Your life has been that furnace. Every betrayal was turning up the heat. Every loss was burning away what wasn't supposed to be in your future. Every sleepless night, every financial struggle, every health scare, every relationship that crumbled in your hands, it wasn't God punishing you, it was God purifying you. But here's what breaks my heart. You've been comparing your journey to people who were never called to carry what you carry. You've been looking at their easy paths and wondering why yours was so steep. But chosen ones don't get easy paths, beloved. They get powerful ones. Look at Joseph, 17 years old when God gave him dreams of greatness. But where did God take him first? Into a pit, thrown there by his own brothers, then slavery, then false accusations, then prison. For 13 years, Joseph looked like a failure to everyone watching. But God wasn't destroying Joseph's destiny, he was developing it. Because you can't rule a kingdom until you've learned to rule yourself in a dungeon. Every tear Joseph cried in that prison cell was liquid preparation for the palace that awaited him. Every night he wondered if God had forgotten him was another degree of heat refining his character for the weight of saving nations. You know that feeling, don't you? That wondering if God forgot your address. That questioning if your prayers are bouncing off the ceiling. That's not abandonment, chosen one. That's preparation. God doesn't forget his gold, he refines it. Think about David, anointed as a king while still a teenager, then spent years running for his life, hiding in caves, eating scraps, wondering if the prophet Samuel had made a mistake. But those caves weren't David's punishment, they were his classroom. Every psalm he wrote in darkness became light for millions who would follow. Every moment he felt forgotten was God teaching him that a king's strength doesn't come from a crown, it comes from complete dependence on the King of Kings. Why am I telling you this? Because right now, someone listening to my voice has spent the last 20 years feeling like David in those caves. You've been anointed for something greater, but you're living in circumstances that make no sense. You've been called to abundance, but you're barely surviving. You've been marked for influence, but you feel invisible. Stop right there. Don't you dare think God made a mistake with you. Your trials weren't random. They were targeted. The enemy doesn't waste high-level attacks on low-level threats. The fact that you've been through hell and back isn't proof that you're cursed, it's proof that you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. Think about it this way. When a general prepares for the most important battle of the war, does he send in the recruits? Does he send in the soldiers who've never seen combat? No. He sends in the battle-tested veterans, the ones who've been shot at and survived, the ones who've bled but kept fighting, the ones who know how to stand when everything around them is falling apart. That's you, chosen one. You're not a casualty of spiritual warfare, you're a decorated veteran. Every scar is a medal of honor. Every wound is proof that you survived what was meant to destroy you. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where I need you to stop thinking and start feeling. How many nights have you laid in bed and whispered, God, why me? Why did I have to bury my spouse while others grow old together? Why did I have to watch my children struggle while other families seem blessed? Why did I have to lose everything I worked for while others never knew lack? The answer will shock you. Because chosen ones carry heavier crosses, but chosen ones also wear heavier crowns. Moses carried the burden of leading 2 million complaining people through the desert, but he also carried the glory of speaking face to face with the Almighty. Esther carried the weight of potentially dying for her people, but she also carried the authority to save an entire nation. Jesus carried the cross to Calvary, but he also carried the keys to death, hell, and the grave. Your suffering wasn't punishment, beloved. It was positioning. Every tear you cried was an investment in the authority you're about to walk in. Every betrayal you survived was God teaching you to trust Him alone. Every door that closed in your face was God protecting you from settling for less than your destiny. The very trials you thought were evidence that God had forgotten you were actually proof that He had marked you for something so significant that hell itself had to try to stop you before you realized who you were. But here's the urgency burning in my spirit right now. The season of preparation is ending. The season of manifestation is beginning. All those years of feeling like gold in the fire, the refining process is almost complete. The goldsmith is about to remove you from the furnace and display you as the masterpiece you've always been. If this is you, if every word I've spoken has been reading your story like an open book, I need you to do something right now. I need you to whisper out loud, right where you are, I was chosen. Don't just think it, declare it. Let the atmosphere around you hear it. Let the angels take note. Let the enemy tremble. Say it again, I was chosen. The world may not know your name yet, but heaven already does. And what heaven knows about you is about to be revealed to everyone who tried to count you out. But the question that will determine everything about your next chapter is this. Now that you know you were chosen for the fire, are you ready to discover what you were refined to carry? You felt it, didn't you? That resistance, that strange pushback every time you tried to move forward. The mysterious misfortunes that hit just when breakthrough seemed within reach. The relationships that soured for no logical reason. The health battles that doctors couldn't fully explain. The financial setbacks that defied all planning. You thought you were losing your mind. You wondered if you were cursed. You questioned if God had turned His back on you. But what if I told you that none of it was random? What if every attack, every setback, every moment of unexplained opposition was actually proof of something magnificent about your destiny? Listen to me, chosen one. You have been under spiritual assault, not because you're weak, but because you're dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. The enemy doesn't waste ammunition on empty vessels. Satan doesn't deploy his best demons against people who pose no threat. But you've been in his crosshairs since the day you drew breath, because hell saw what heaven placed inside you before you even knew it existed. Think about your life, really think. How many times did opportunity slip through your fingers at the last second? How many times did relationships turn toxic just when you needed support most? How many times did your health fail right when you were gaining momentum? How many times did money disappear just when financial freedom seemed possible? That wasn't coincidence. That was warfare. You've been fighting an invisible enemy with weapons you could see. You've been battling principalities and powers with earthly strategies. You've been wondering why conventional wisdom failed you, not realizing you were never dealing with conventional problems. But here's what breaks my heart most: the betrayals, the people you loved who turned their backs, the family members who mocked your faith, the friends who became enemies overnight, the church folk who smiled to your face and gossiped behind your back. You thought something was wrong with you. You believed their whispers that maybe you weren't as spiritual as you thought. Maybe you weren't as chosen as you believed. Maybe you were just delusional. Stop right there. When David was anointed king, who tried to kill him? King Saul, the very man who should have celebrated him. When Jesus walked in power, who opposed him most? The religious leaders, the very people who should have recognized him. When Joseph received his dreams, who threw him in a pit? His own brothers, the very people who should have protected him. The attacks came from the inside because that's where they hurt most. The enemy knows that external opposition makes you stronger, but internal betrayal, that wounds the soul. But I need you to understand something that will change everything about how you see your story. Every person who betrayed you wasn't acting alone. They were being used, manipulated, influenced by forces they couldn't even see. Ephesians 6:12 declares it plainly, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this age, against spiritual hosts of wickedness in heavenly places. That family member who turned against you, they were a weapon, not the warrior. That friend who abandoned you, they were a tool, not the enemy. That church leader who rejected you, they were being used by forces that recognized your calling before they did. The devil borrowed their voices to speak his lies. He hijacked their emotions to wound your heart. He used their rejection to try to make you reject yourself. But here's what the enemy never counted on. Here's what hell never calculated in their schemes against you. You're still here. After everything they threw at you, every curse, every attack, every weapon formed against your destiny, you're still standing. You're still breathing. You're still believing. And that, beloved, is not human resilience. That is divine protection. Psalm 91 wasn't written as poetry. It was written as a promise. He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. You've been living under that shadow, even when you couldn't feel it. You've been covered by wings you couldn't see, protected by angels you couldn't hear. Every night you should have given up but didn't. That was supernatural strength. Every morning you found the will to keep going. That was heaven's intervention. Every time you chose faith over fear, that was God's grace overpowering the enemy's attack. Isaiah 54:17 thunders with authority. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue which rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord. Every weapon, not some weapons, not most weapons, every single weapon that hell forged with your name on it has failed. The divorce that was supposed to destroy you, you survived it. The bankruptcy that was meant to break you, you overcame it. The sickness that was designed to silence you, you're still speaking. The depression that was calculated to defeat you, you're still standing. You didn't just survive those attacks, you were shielded through them. Right now, as I speak these words, there are angels stationed around your life. You can't see them, but they see everything. Every curse spoken over you bounces off their shields. Every evil plot against you crumbles under their watch. Every demon assigned to your destruction flees at their presence. You think you've been fighting alone. Child, you've had backup you never knew about. You think you've been defenseless. You've been surrounded by heaven's army. You think you've been forgotten. You've been guarded by the elite forces of the Most High God. The storm hit your lighthouse, but the light still stands. The waves crashed against your foundation, but the rock remains. The enemy came in like a flood, but the Spirit of the Lord raised up a standard against him. Every curse has been reversed. Every weapon has failed. Every plot has backfired. You are not damaged goods. You are battle-tested merchandise. You are not a victim of circumstances. You are a survivor of spiritual warfare. You are not broken by your past. You are built for your future. If you've felt under attack, if you recognize this warfare in your own life, if you know you've been fighting battles others couldn't see, say it boldly right now, covered by God. Let heaven hear your declaration. Let the enemy hear your confidence. Let your own heart hear the truth. But knowing you're protected is just the beginning. Because if you've survived this level of warfare, if hell worked this hard to stop you, then what you're carrying must be absolutely explosive. And that brings us to the question that will determine everything about your next chapter. What exactly were they so desperate to prevent you from becoming? You've been fighting so long, haven't you? 70 years, 80 years, maybe 90 years of putting up walls, building defenses, learning to strike back before you get struck. They taught you that survival meant hardness, that strength meant silence, that wisdom meant never letting anyone close enough to hurt you again. But what if I told you that everything you learned about strength is wrong? Look at me, dear one. Really look. Behind those eyes, those beautiful, weathered eyes that have seen betrayal, abandonment, promises broken like glass, behind all that armor you've built, there's still a heart that remembers how to be soft. And that softness, that's not your weakness, that's your weapon. The world told you to toughen up, to get over it, to stop being so sensitive. But God whispers something different. He says your tenderness is your terror to the enemy. Your gentleness is your greatness. Your ability to love after being wounded is the very thing that makes hell tremble. Listen to this carefully. Jesus, hanging on that cross, blood streaming down his face, nails piercing his hands, looked down at the very people who put him there and said, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Not weakness, power, not defeat, victory, not human response. Divine authority. That same power lives in you right now. But I know what you're thinking. You're remembering that daughter who stopped calling, that son who took your money and disappeared, that spouse who left after 43 years of marriage for someone half their age, that friend who spread lies about you at church, that boss who promised you a pension then fired you 6 months before retirement. I know. I see the scars. I feel the ache in your chest when you remember how they smiled to your face while planning your betrayal. But here's what the enemy doesn't want you to understand. Every time you choose softness over hardness, forgiveness over fury, love over retaliation, you're not just healing yourself, you're terrorizing darkness itself. Softness is not weakness, it's armor heaven forges out of peace. Think about water for a moment. Gentle water, soft water. It seems so harmless, doesn't it? But that same soft water can carve through the hardest granite, split mountains, and reshape entire landscapes. Not through force, through persistence, through refusing to become hard even when hitting the hardest surfaces. That's you, chosen one. That's your calling. Matthew 5:39 records Jesus saying, "But I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also." The world calls this foolishness. Heaven calls this mastery. When you refuse to mirror the evil done to you, when you break the cycle of hurt with healing, you're operating in a power this world cannot comprehend. But let me tell you why this is so hard for you. Let me speak to that place in your heart that's been bleeding for decades. You trusted them. You gave them your best years, your finest love, your deepest secrets. You opened your heart like a sanctuary, and they walked in with muddy boots and trampled on everything sacred. The betrayal didn't just hurt, it shocked you. Because you loved purely, you expected pure love in return. Because you gave faithfully, you expected faithful friendship back. And when they shattered that trust, something inside you whispered, "Never again. Build the walls higher, make the moat deeper. If you don't let anyone in, they can't destroy you." But beloved, that's not living. That's surviving. And God didn't breathe life into your lungs just so you could survive. He breathed eternity into your chest so you could thrive, even in a world that wounds. Your softness is your superpower. Your tenderness terrifies the enemy. Every time you forgive, you break chains not just from the person who hurt you, but from yourself. Ephesians 4:32 commands us, "Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you." Notice, it doesn't say be kind when they deserve it. It doesn't say be compassionate when they earn it. It says be kind and compassionate, period, because forgiveness isn't about them. It's about you. It's about refusing to let their poison become your prison. Right now, as I'm speaking these words, there's a face appearing in your mind. Someone who hurt you so deeply you can still taste the bitterness when you think their name. Maybe it's been 5 years. Maybe it's been 50. But they're still living rent-free in your heart, aren't they? Still controlling your emotions, still stealing your peace, still holding your joy hostage. But what if I told you that in the next 60 seconds you could set yourself free? Here's what I want you to do. Think of that person right now. See their face, remember their name. Feel the hurt rise up in your chest like an old familiar ache. And now right here, right now, I want you to whisper something that might be the hardest words you've ever spoken. I release you. Say it out loud. Don't think about whether they deserve it. Don't worry about whether they've changed. Don't wait for an apology that may never come. Just whisper it. I release you. Because when you release them, you release yourself. When you free them from your anger, you free yourself from their power over you. When you choose forgiveness, you choose freedom. And here's the mystery that will blow your mind. The moment you release that person, heaven releases something over you. The same grace you give flows back to you multiplied. The same mercy you show becomes the mercy that covers your own mistakes. The same love you choose to extend becomes the love that surrounds you like armor. This is why Jesus said in Matthew 6:14-15, "If you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. But if you do not forgive others their sins, your Father will not forgive your sins." It's not just a nice suggestion, it's spiritual law. Forgiveness flows both ways, or it doesn't flow at all. But here's the urgency you need to understand. Time is running out. Not because life is short, though it is, but because every day you hold on to that hurt, every night you rehearse that betrayal, every moment you feed that bitterness, you're giving the enemy more power over your destiny. Bitterness is not your friend. It's not protecting you. It's poisoning you. It's stealing your sleep, hardening your heart, and robbing you of the very tenderness that makes you dangerous to darkness. The softness you're afraid to show, that's not your vulnerability, that's your victory. Because in a world that's growing harder by the day, in a generation that's forgotten how to love, your ability to remain tender is a supernatural sign that God still lives, still loves, still transforms hearts through human kindness. So what's it going to be, chosen one? Will you continue carrying that weight, or will you finally put it down? Will you keep building walls, or will you choose to become a bridge? Will you let their betrayal be the final word in your story, or will you let forgiveness write a new chapter? Because the moment you choose softness over hardness, the moment you choose love over logic, the moment you choose forgiveness over fury, that's the moment you step into a power that hell cannot touch and heaven cannot resist. The question burning in your heart right now isn't whether you can forgive. The question is, are you finally ready to be free? Dear chosen one, I need you to stop right there and listen to what I'm about to tell you. Because what's happening in the spiritual realm right now is going to shatter every doubt you've carried about God's faithfulness in your life. For 70 years, 80 years, maybe 90 years, you've been whispering the same prayers into what felt like empty air. God, when is my breakthrough coming? Have you forgotten about me? Did I miss my moment? And every silent night, every unanswered cry, every delay that made no sense has built a wall of disappointment around your heart. But what if I told you that wall is about to crumble in one supernatural moment? You see, you've been looking at your life all wrong. Every rejection wasn't God saying no, it was God saying not yet. Every closed door wasn't abandonment, it was divine protection. Every season of silence wasn't punishment, it was preparation for what's about to explode into your reality. Heaven's delivery truck is pulling into your driveway right now. And those boxes? They're stamped with your name, your full name, written in the handwriting of the Almighty Himself. Listen to me carefully. Job lost everything. His children, his wealth, his health, his reputation. For months he sat in ashes, scraping his sores with broken pottery, wondering if God had turned his back forever. But Job 42:10 declares something that will rock your world. The Lord restored Job's fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Twice as much. Not just restoration, multiplication, not just getting back what he lost, receiving double for his trouble. But here's what breaks my heart about your story. You've been so focused on what you lost, you haven't prepared for what you're about to receive. The enemy convinced you that your best days are behind you, that at your age, miracles don't happen anymore, that God's promises have expiration dates. That's a lie straight from the pit of hell. Think about Joseph, 17 years old when he had the dream, 30 years old when Pharaoh's ring slipped onto his finger. 13 years of slavery, false accusations, and forgotten promises. 13 years of wondering if God had made a mistake. But Genesis 41:40 records the moment everything changed. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people are to submit to your orders. From the prison to the palace in 24 hours, from forgotten to Pharaoh's right hand in one divine appointment. Your prison sentence is ending today. But here's what you need to understand about divine timing. God doesn't operate on your calendar. He operates on Kairos time, the perfect moment when heaven intersects with earth and impossibilities become inevitabilities. And right now, as these words hit your spirit, Kairos is crashing into your Chronos. How many nights have you cried yourself to sleep, wondering if your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling? How many times have you asked God, are you even listening? But Revelation 5:8 reveals something that will change everything. Each one had a harp, and they were holding golden bowls full of incense, which are the prayers of God's holy people. Your prayers didn't disappear. They were collected. Every desperate whisper at 3 a.m., every tear-soaked plea for breakthrough, every moment you felt forgotten, it's all been stored in golden bowls before the throne of God. And right now, beloved, those bowls are tipping. The waiting wasn't denial, it was preparation. And now the door is opening. Isaiah 61:7 declares your inheritance. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Double portion, not single, not partial, double. Because God doesn't just make up for lost time, He makes up for lost tears, lost hope, lost faith in His goodness. You think you're too old for breakthrough. Sarah was 90 when Isaac's first cry shattered the silence of her barren womb. Abraham was 100 when promise became flesh and blood in his arms. Moses was 80 when he stood before Pharaoh and said, "Let my people go." Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. Every year you've lived, every storm you've weathered, every mountain you've climbed has been boot camp for what God is about to release through you. But I need you to do something right now that's going to terrify every demon that's been whispering lies about your future. I need you to stop agreeing with delay and start declaring delivery. Stop rehearsing your disappointments and start proclaiming your inheritance. The financial breakthrough you've prayed for, it's moving toward your address right now. The healing you've begged for, it's already been dispatched from the throne room. The restoration of relationships you thought were dead forever. Resurrection power is breathing life into dry bones at this very moment. Can you feel it? That stirring in your chest. That's not nostalgia, that's prophecy. That's your spirit recognizing what your mind hasn't caught up to yet. Your season is shifting. Your winter is ending. Your spring has already begun. Stand up right where you are. I don't care if you're in your kitchen, your bedroom, or sitting in your car. Stand up and lift your hands toward heaven. Open your mouth and declare with everything in you, my season is here. My breakthrough is now. What God promised, God will perform. Say it louder. My season is here. Because, beloved, the truck has arrived. The boxes are being unloaded. And everything that hell tried to steal from you is about to be returned with supernatural interest. But what happens next will determine whether you simply receive your breakthrough or whether you step into the calling that your breakthrough was designed to activate. You've been staring at your life like a broken puzzle, haven't you? Scattered pieces that make no sense. Years that felt wasted. Dreams that died before they bloomed. Relationships that crumbled when you needed them most. And through it all, one haunting question has echoed in the chambers of your heart. God, where were you? But what if I told you that what looked like chaos was actually choreography? What if every setback was a setup? What if the author of time has been writing your story with an invisible pen, and you've been reading it upside down? Behind the curtains of your life, dear one, God's hand has been moving pieces you couldn't see. While you were crying over what you lost, heaven was calculating what you'd gain. While you were mourning delays, the Almighty was orchestrating divine timing so precise that when you finally see it, you'll fall to your knees in worship. Think about Joseph for a moment. 17 years old, dreaming of greatness, only to be thrown into a pit by his own brothers. Sold like cattle, falsely accused, forgotten in prison for years. If you had met Joseph in that dungeon, you would have said, "God has abandoned this man." But Genesis 50-20 reveals the secret. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Every betrayal was positioning him. Every injustice was preparing him. Every tear was watering the ground for a harvest he couldn't imagine. Just like you. You think those 20 years you spent caring for your ailing spouse were wasted? God was building in you a reservoir of compassion that will overflow into the lives of others walking that same dark valley. You think that business that failed, that dream that collapsed, was evidence that God wasn't listening. He was redirecting you away from success that would have destroyed your soul and toward a purpose that will echo through eternity. You've been playing checkers, but God has been playing chess, and in chess, sometimes you sacrifice your queen to checkmate the king. Look at Moses. 40 years in Pharaoh's palace learning to be somebody, then 40 years in the wilderness learning to be nobody. 80 years total before God said, "Now you're ready." 8 decades of what looked like preparation and failure, but it was all leading to the moment when he would stand before the Red Sea with 2 million people behind him and nowhere to go but through. The delay was not denial. The silence was strategy. And the author of time has been scripting your comeback. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what makes me weep for God's people. You've been interpreting his silence as absence. You've been reading his delays as rejection. You've been mistaking his protection for punishment. When that door slammed shut in 1987, when that relationship ended in betrayal, when that diagnosis came like a thief in the night, you thought God was late. But he was right on time, pulling you back from a cliff you couldn't see, saving you from a future that would have destroyed you. Psalm 139:16 declares, "Your eyes saw my unformed body. All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Before you took your first breath, God already knew about the cancer that would come in your 60s. He already saw the divorce papers that would be filed in your 40s. He already witnessed the financial crash that would shake your 70s. And in his infinite wisdom, he began preparing you for all of it. That inner strength you can't explain, that peace that surpasses understanding, that ability to stand when others would fall. It wasn't accident, it was assignment. God has been building something in you that only pressure could create, something that only pain could forge, something that only time could perfect. You've been asking, why me? But God has been answering, for this. The same hand that parted the Red Sea has been parting your obstacles. The same voice that spoke light into darkness has been speaking purpose into your pain. The same power that raised Jesus from the dead has been raising you from every grave the enemy tried to bury you in. David understood this mystery when he wrote in Psalm 23:4, "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." He didn't say God would remove the valley. He said God would walk through it with him. Every valley you've walked through, every shadow that tried to swallow you, every death you've faced, God has been there. Not just watching, walking, not just observing, orchestrating, not just present, purposeful. And now, right now, in this season of your life when the world wants to convince you that your best days are behind you, when society whispers that you should step aside and fade quietly into the background, God is saying something different. He's saying the setup is complete, the pieces are in position, the delays are over. The strategy is about to be revealed. If you've ever felt like God was silent, if you've ever wondered if he forgot your address, if you've ever questioned whether your pain had purpose, type in the comments right now. But he was moving. Declare it, claim it. Let heaven know you finally understand that behind every closed door was an open window. Behind every ending was a new beginning. Behind every loss was a greater gain. But there's something else you need to know about this divine orchestration. Something that will change how you see, not just your past, but your future. Dear chosen one, I need you to stop what you're doing right now and listen with every fiber of your being. Because what I'm about to reveal will shatter every fear that's been haunting your sleep, every anxiety that's been stealing your peace, every worry that's been whispering lies about your future. You think you're vulnerable. You think you're exposed. You think that at 70, 80, 90 years old, you're just sitting there like a target, waiting for the next blow to fall, the next diagnosis, the next betrayal, the next financial crisis, the next phone call that changes everything. But that's the biggest lie the enemy has ever told you. Right now, this very second, as I speak these words, there is a circle of fire surrounding you. Not metaphorically, not symbolically, literally. Angels with flaming swords have taken their positions around your life, around your home, around your family. And every demon that has tried to touch you, every evil spirit that has attempted to curse you, they didn't just fail, they burned. Listen to what happened to the prophet Elisha in 2 Kings chapter 6. The Syrian army had surrounded the city, thousands of soldiers, horses, chariots, death closing in from every direction. Elisha's servant woke up, looked out, and panicked. "Master, what shall we do? We're surrounded." But Elisha wasn't worried. You know what he said? "Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Then he prayed, "Lord, open his eyes so he may see." And when God opened that servant's eyes, he saw something that made his knees buckle. The hills were full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha, an entire army of heaven, blazing, burning, ready for war. Beloved, that same army is surrounding you right now. You can't see them with your natural eyes, but they're there. Every curse that's been spoken over your family line, it hit that wall of fire and disintegrated. Every hex, every spell, every evil intention sent your way, burned to ash before it could touch the hem of your garment. But here's what's going to shake you to your core. You think you've been fighting these battles alone. You think you've been surviving by sheer willpower, by gritting your teeth and pushing through. You think your endurance is just stubbornness. No, dear soul, you've been standing in the middle of a supernatural firewall and you didn't even know it. That cancer that should have killed you but didn't, the fire protected you. That accident that should have been fatal, angels redirected the impact. That financial ruin that should have destroyed your family, heaven's army intercepted the attack. You thought you were lucky, you thought you were tough, but you were covered. Think about Daniel in the lion's den. Those lions didn't lose their appetite. They didn't suddenly become vegetarians. The fire of God's presence shut their mouths. Think about Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the furnace. The fire was so hot it killed the guards who threw them in. But these 3 men walked around in the flames like they were taking a stroll in Central Park. Why? Because when you belong to the Most High God, fire doesn't burn you, it protects you. You want to know why your enemies haven't been able to destroy you? Why the people who wished you dead are watching you thrive? Why every weapon formed against you has failed? Because you're not just covered by insurance, dear one, you're covered by the insurance policy of heaven itself. But I need to tell you something that's going to make you weep with relief and rage with righteous anger at the same time. Every sleepless night you've spent worrying about your security wasted. Every moment you've lived in fear of what tomorrow might bring stolen from you by lies. Every time you felt vulnerable and alone, you were actually standing in the most protected place on earth. The enemy has been trying to make you forget who you are. He's been whispering in your ear, "You're old, you're weak, you're defenseless, you're just waiting to die." But God is thundering from heaven, "You are mine, you are covered, you are untouchable." Listen to Psalm 91 and let it sink deep into your bones. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will rest in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. Surely He will save you from the fowler's snare and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Under His wings, in His shadow, covered by His feathers. That's not poetry, beloved. That's your position. That's your address. That's where you live, move, and have your being. Every morning when you wake up and wonder if this is the day something terrible happens, stop, look around, feel the presence. You're not waking up to danger. You're waking up inside a fortress that hell itself cannot breach. But here's the part that's going to set your soul on fire with holy boldness. This protection isn't passive. This isn't just defense. This circle of fire around you, it's offensive warfare. Every step you take, that fire moves with you. Every room you enter, that divine presence fills the atmosphere. You're not just protected, you're dangerous to darkness. When you walk into a hospital room, healing follows you. When you speak over your grandchildren, blessings activate. When you pray over your neighborhood, principalities flee. You think you're just an ordinary senior citizen, but you're a walking nuclear reactor of God's power, contained and directed by His love. This is why the enemy has been trying so hard to convince you that you're powerless. Because he knows if you ever fully realize what's surrounding you, if you ever step into the full authority of your position in Christ, His kingdom doesn't stand a chance. You are not just surviving in the storm, dear one. You are standing in the middle of a fire that cannot burn you. You are untouchable. You are unbreakable. You are unstoppable. Say it out loud right now, wherever you are. I am covered. Don't whisper it. Declare it. Let hell hear it. Let heaven confirm it. Write it in the comments. I am surrounded. Let this community of believers know that you've awakened to your divine protection. But this revelation of your protection is just the beginning. Because if you're this covered, if you're this protected, if you're this dangerous to darkness, what exactly has God been preparing you for? You know what breaks my heart? It's watching God's most precious warriors, you walking around believing the biggest lie ever whispered in your ear. You think your story is ending. You think your time has passed. You think at 70, 80, 90 years old, you're supposed to fade quietly into the background while the world moves on without you. That's not God's voice talking. That's the enemy trying to steal your final act. Listen to me, chosen one. What if I told you that everything you've endured, every betrayal that left you gasping for air, every sleepless night wondering if God forgot your address, every moment you felt invisible while others got promoted, what if all of that wasn't your punishment? What if it was your preparation? You weren't surviving all those years. You were being forged. Think about Moses, 80 years old when God called him from a burning bush. The world would have put him in a retirement home, but God said, "Now you're ready. Now you have what it takes." Why? Because some assignments are so massive, so world-changing, that they require 8 decades of character development. You think your wrinkles are signs of decline? No, beloved, they're evidence of endurance. You think your slower pace means you're finished. It means you've learned to move with divine timing instead of human urgency. You think your quiet voice doesn't matter anymore. That whisper carries more authority than all the shouting in the world because it's been tested by fire. Here's what Satan doesn't want you to know. You are not at the sunset of your life. You are at the unveiling. Every senior citizen watching this right now has been asking the same haunting question. God, what was it all for? Did my life matter? Did the struggle mean anything? And heaven is thundering back with an answer that will shake you to your core. You think you were just surviving? You were being trained for your greatest assignment. You carry something this generation has never seen: the authority of tested faith. While they debate theology, you've walked with God through actual valleys of death. While they quote scripture, you've lived it. While they wonder if prayer works, you've seen mountains move with your own eyes. But here's the urgency burning in my spirit right now. The enemy knows your time is short, not because you're dying, but because you're about to be deployed. He's been working overtime to convince you that your voice doesn't matter, that your experience is outdated, that you should just sit quietly and wait for heaven. That's because he knows what happens when a generation of battle-tested believers finally understands their assignment. When grandmothers start interceding with the authority of decades, when grandfathers start speaking truth with voices that can't be shaken, when the silent generation finally roars. Look at Anna the prophetess in Luke chapter 2. 84 years old, spending day and night in the temple. People probably thought she was just a sweet old lady who couldn't let go. But when baby Jesus walked through those doors, she was the first to recognize the Messiah. Why? Because her eyes had been trained by 8 decades of faithful watching. You think you're too old to make a difference? Anna was 84 when she became the first evangelist in the New Testament. You think your time has passed? Caleb was 85 when he said, "Give me this mountain." You think God's done with you. Abraham was 99 when God renewed his covenant. Your age isn't your limitation, it's your qualification. But here's where it gets personal. Here's where this message stops being theory and starts hitting your actual life. How many nights have you lain awake wondering if anyone would remember you when you're gone? How many times have you watched the news and thought, "This world is falling apart, and there's nothing I can do about it"? Stop right there. That feeling of helplessness, that's not reality. That's spiritual amnesia. You've forgotten who you are. You are a carrier of hope in a hopeless generation. You are a living testimony that God keeps his promises. You are proof that faith survives every storm this world can throw at it. And right now there are people drowning in despair who need to see that someone like you has walked through hell and came out worshiping. Your children need to see what real strength looks like. Your grandchildren need to hear stories of when God showed up in impossible situations. Your community needs to witness what happens when someone refuses to quit believing even when everything looks dead. You think you're just getting older. You're becoming more dangerous to darkness with every passing day, because the closer you get to eternity, the clearer your spiritual vision becomes. The nearer you draw to heaven, the more you understand what truly matters. The less time you have left, the more fearless you become in speaking truth. This is why the enemy has been working so hard to silence you. This is why depression has been stalking your generation. This is why isolation has been trying to separate you from your purpose. Because when seasoned saints finally remember their assignment, hell itself trembles. You are not here to fade away. You are here to set the world on fire one more time. The righteous will flourish like a palm tree. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green. Psalm 92, verses 12 and 14. Fresh and green, not dried up, not finished. Fresh and green at 80, at 90, at 100. But the torch is in your hands right now. The question that will determine everything is this: will you pass it on, or will you let it die with you? Your mission is not over, chosen one. In fact, it's just beginning. Because everything you've learned, everything you've overcome, everything you've become, it was all preparing you for this final assignment, to be the light that guides the next generation home. Say it with me right now. My mission is not over. I still carry the torch. Because, beloved, the world is about to see what happens when the generation everyone wrote off finally remembers they were never meant to go quietly into that good night. Dear chosen one, I need you to look at your life right now. Really look at it. See those empty spaces where love used to live. See that bank account that mocks your prayers. See those family members who turned their backs when you needed them most. See that body that's betrayed you, that mind that's tormented you, that spirit that's been crushed under the weight of disappointment after disappointment. What if I told you that every single loss you've endured wasn't random? What if every door that slammed in your face, every relationship that crumbled, every dollar that slipped through your fingers was actually evidence in a cosmic courtroom where your case has been building for decades? You see, there's a trial happening in the heavenly realm right now, and you didn't even know you were the plaintiff. For years, you've been sitting in the defendant's chair, believing you were on trial for your failures, believing God was judging your mistakes, weighing your worthiness, calculating your sins. But that's not what's happening at all. You're not the defendant, beloved. You're the victim seeking justice. And today, this very moment, the verdict is being read. The courtroom of heaven has been reviewing your case. Every tear you cried in secret has been catalogued as evidence. Every prayer you whispered in desperation has been filed as testimony. Every time you got back up when staying down would have been easier that's been entered into the record as proof of your character. And do you know what the divine judge has declared? Reversal. Complete and total reversal. Isaiah 61:7 thunders from the throne. Instead of your shame, you will receive a double portion, and instead of disgrace, you will rejoice in your inheritance. And so you will inherit a double portion in your land, and everlasting joy will be yours. Double portion. Not just restoration, multiplication. Not just getting back what you lost, getting back twice as much. But let me ask you something that might shake you to your core. Why do you think the attacks against your life have been so vicious? Why has the enemy thrown everything he had at your marriage, your finances, your health, your family? Why have you felt like you've been living in a war zone when others seem to glide through life untouched? Because he saw the verdict coming. He knew that when heaven reversed your situation, the shockwaves would destroy his work in 1,000 other lives. He knew that your comeback would become other people's hope. He knew that your testimony would shatter the lies he's been whispering to an entire generation. So he tried to break you first. He tried to make you give up before you could see the reversal. He tried to convince you that your losses were permanent, that your pain was your portion, that your struggle was your story. But he failed. You're still here. You're still breathing. You're still believing. And that terrifies him. Think about Job. Everything stripped away, wealth gone, children dead, health destroyed, wife bitter, friends, accusers. For months, maybe years, Job sat in ashes, scraping his sores with broken pottery, wondering what he had done to deserve such devastation. But God wasn't punishing Job. God was positioning him. Because when the reversal came, and it did come, Job didn't just get back what he had lost. Job 42:10 declares, "The Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before." Twice as much. That's not restoration, beloved. That's divine mathematics. That's God's way of saying, when I reverse your situation, the world will know it was me. Right now, the same God who gave Job double is calculating your return. Every dollar you lost to betrayal, he's multiplying it. Every relationship that ended in heartbreak, he's preparing connections that will heal your soul. Every dream that died, he's breathing resurrection life into its bones. But here's what's going to shock you. The reversal isn't just for you, it's through you. The same people who whispered about your failures are about to witness your favor. The same places that rejected you will watch God honor you. The same institutions that dismissed you will seek your wisdom. Your reversal will be so dramatic, so undeniable, that it becomes a billboard for God's goodness. Your comeback will be so complete that it silences every voice that said you were finished. And those tears you cried, those weren't wasted water, they were seeds. Every tear that hit the ground was planting something. And now, right now, the harvest is pushing through the soil. Your weeping has been watering your breakthrough. The tables are turning. Chosen one. Can you feel it? Can you sense the shift in the spiritual atmosphere? The same devil that laughed at your pain is about to weep at your promotion. The same circumstances that mocked your faith are about to bow to your favor. This isn't wishful thinking. This is prophetic declaration. The courtroom has spoken. The verdict is final. The reversal has been signed, sealed, and is being delivered to your situation right now. But I need you to do something. I need you to participate in your own miracle. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to clap your hands. Not a polite golf clap, a thunderous declaration that shakes the atmosphere around you. Clap like you're breaking chains. Clap like you're celebrating victory. Clap like the reversal is already here. And as you clap, declare these words out loud. My story is turning around. What the enemy meant for evil, God is turning for good. The verdict is reversal, and I receive it now. The sound of your hands clapping is the sound of prison doors opening, of debts being cancelled, of relationships being restored, of health being renewed. Heaven responds to the sound of faith in action. But this reversal demands something of you. It requires you to stop living like a victim and start walking like a victor. Are you ready to leave the courthouse of your past and step into the palace of your future? Beloved, we've journeyed together through mysteries that would make angels weep. You've felt the stirring. You've recognized the call. Your spirit has been awakened from decades of slumber. But now comes the moment that separates the curious from the chosen, the moment that divides those who hear from those who receive. This is your final warning. Right now, as I speak these words, there's a window open in the heavens, not metaphorically, literally, the same window that opened for Noah before the flood, the same gate that Abraham walked through when he left everything he knew, the same portal that Moses stepped into when the Red Sea split wide. That window is open for you, but windows don't stay open forever. In Matthew 25, Jesus told the parable of the 10 virgins. 5 were wise, 5 were foolish. When the bridegroom came, the wise had oil for their lamps. The foolish had let theirs burn out, and when the foolish ones ran to buy more oil, the door was shut. They returned to find the wedding feast had begun without them. They knocked, they pleaded, they cried out, Lord, Lord, open to us. But Jesus said through that closed door, Truly, I say to you, I do not know you. The oil in your lamp is your readiness, your faith, your willingness to move when God says move. And right now, that oil is burning bright. But if you walk away from this moment, if you let doubt creep in, if you tell yourself you'll deal with this tomorrow, the oil dies out. Don't let it vanish. Don't let it slip. I need you to understand something that will shock you to your core. Your miracle is motion sensitive. It doesn't respond to perfect faith or perfect prayer or perfect circumstances. It responds to faith in motion. Faith that moves, faith that acts, faith that says yes in this moment, not when you feel ready. When Peter stepped out of that boat in Matthew 14, he didn't wait until the waves calmed down. He stepped out while the storm was still raging. His miracle wasn't waiting for perfect conditions. His miracle was activated by imperfect faith in perfect timing. That's where you are right now. The storm is still raging around your life. The bills are still due. The relationships are still broken. The body is still aching. But the voice of Jesus is cutting through the chaos, saying, Come, don't let it vanish. Don't let it slip. You know what terrifies hell more than anything? It's not your perfection. It's your obedience in imperfection. It's your willingness to say yes when everything in your natural mind is screaming no. It's your decision to step into the calling when you still feel unworthy, unqualified, unprepared. The enemy has been counting on your hesitation. He's been banking on your doubt. He's been waiting for you to talk yourself out of this moment. Because he knows something you're just discovering. This window won't open again in your lifetime. This is it, chosen one. This is your Jericho moment. For 6 days, the Israelites marched around those walls in silence. 6 days of the same routine. 6 days of nothing changing. Can you imagine what they must have felt on day 5, on day 6? Maybe this isn't working. Maybe we misheard God. Maybe we should try something else. But Joshua knew what they didn't know. God's timing is never early, and it's never late. It's always precisely perfect. And on the 7th day, when they opened their mouths and shouted, those walls didn't just crack. They didn't slowly crumble. They collapsed in one supernatural moment. You've been marching around your walls for 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. But today is your 7th day. Today is your shout moment. Today is when heaven says, now. But here's what breaks my heart. Here's what keeps me awake at night praying for souls just like yours. Some of you are going to walk away from this window. Some of you are going to let fear win. Some of you are going to tell yourselves that this is just another message, another moment, another maybe. And you'll spend the rest of your days wondering what would have happened if you had just said yes. In Luke 19, Jesus wept over Jerusalem, not because he was angry, because he was heartbroken. If you, even you, had only known on this day what would bring you peace, but now it is hidden from your eyes. Jerusalem missed their moment of visitation. They let their window close. Jesus is weeping over some of you right now, not in anger, in heartbreak, because he knows what's waiting on the other side of your yes. He knows the breakthrough that's been prepared for decades. He knows the purpose that's been hidden in your pain. He knows the ministry that's been buried in your mess. Don't let it vanish. Don't let it slip. This window has your name written on it, your exact address, your specific situation, your particular pain. God has been orchestrating circumstances for months, years, maybe decades, to bring you to this exact moment when the heavens would open and your spirit would finally be ready to receive what he's been trying to give you. But you have to move, you have to choose, you have to step through while the gate is still open. Write today's date in your journal, right now. Don't wait. Mark this moment in time, because this is the day everything changes. This is the day you stop being a victim of your circumstances and start being a victor through Christ. This is the day you stop surviving and start thriving. Say it out loud. Say it like you mean it. Say it until your spirit believes it. No more delay. This is my moment. The gate is open, chosen one. But gates don't stay open forever. Step through now, or watch it close from the outside. What will you choose? Beloved chosen one, as we reach the end of this sacred encounter, I need you to carry 3 eternal truths with you, like precious stones in your heart. First, remember this. You are not an accident of biology or a random collection of circumstances. You are a divine assignment wrapped in human flesh. Every gray hair on your head tells a story of God's faithfulness. Every line on your face is a map of his mercy. Every scar you carry is evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. You are marked, chosen, and sealed by the Almighty himself. Second, understand that your age is not your limitation, it's your qualification. While the world sees sunset, God sees sunrise. Moses was 80 when he split seas. Abraham was 99 when he received his promise. Anna was 84 when she prophesied over the Messiah. Your birth certificate is not God's expiration date on your destiny. You are not winding down, you are winding up for your greatest chapter. And third, never forget that your pain was not punishment, it was preparation. Every tear you've cried in secret has watered the ground for this harvest. Every sleepless night has been a vigil for this victory. Every moment you felt forgotten was God positioning you for this remembering. Your wilderness was not your grave. It was your training ground. But hear me clearly. You are not walking this path alone. Even when the road feels uncertain, even when the breakthrough seems delayed, even when doubt whispers lies in your ear, the Creator of the universe is working behind the scenes on your behalf. He's moving mountains you can't see, opening doors you haven't found yet, and orchestrating blessings you can't even imagine. And right here, in this community of believers, you have thousands of brothers and sisters who understand your struggles, who believe in your calling, and who are ready to stand with you in prayer. We're not just viewers on a screen, we're a family, united by faith, connected by hope, and bound together by the love of Christ. Let me ask you this final question, and let it settle deep in your spirit. Now that you know the window is open, now that you understand your calling has no expiration date, Now that you've felt the fire of God stirring in your bones, what will you do with this moment? Will you step through the gate that heaven has opened, or will you let fear convince you to wait for a more convenient time? Before you answer that question, I want to pray over you. Right now, wherever you are, I want you to close your eyes and let these words wash over your spirit like healing oil. Heavenly Father, I lift up every precious soul who has stayed with me through this entire message. Lord, you see their hearts, you know their struggles. You've counted every tear they've cried in secret. But Father, you also see their crown, you know their calling, you've already written their victory story. God, I pray that you would silence every voice of doubt that has whispered, you're too old, you're too late, you've missed your chance. I pray that you would break every chain of fear that has held them captive. I pray that you would open their eyes to see the doors you're already opening, the opportunities you're already creating, the miracles you're already releasing. Father, place your hand upon their shoulders right now. Let them feel your presence. Let them know that they are loved beyond measure, chosen beyond doubt, and destined for greatness beyond their wildest dreams. Give them the courage to step into their calling, the wisdom to recognize divine appointments, and the faith to trust your timing, even when they can't see the full picture. Lord, bless their families, their finances, their health, their relationships. Surround them with people who will recognize the anointing on their lives and help them step into their destiny. Remove every obstacle, every hindrance, every voice that would try to diminish their light. And Father, let this message continue to ripple out. Let them become carriers of hope to others who feel forgotten. Let their transformation become a testimony. Let their breakthrough become a bridge for others to cross over into their own promised land. In Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. Now, I want to hear from you. In the comments below, share how this message has impacted your heart. What shifted in your spirit today? What are you believing God for in this new season? Don't hold back. Your testimony might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. Type "I'm ready" if you're prepared to step through the window. Type "Pray for me" if you need this community to intercede on your behalf. And if this message touched your soul, share it with someone who needs to remember they're not forgotten, they're not too late, and their greatest days are still ahead. Thank you for staying with me through this entire journey. Your time is precious, and you chose to invest it in seeking God's heart for your life. That tells me everything I need to know about your character and your calling. If this is your first time here, welcome to the family. Hit that subscribe button and join thousands of believers who gather here regularly to be encouraged, equipped, and empowered for kingdom living. We're building something beautiful together, a community where faith grows, hope is restored, and destinies are fulfilled. Remember, beloved, the window is still open, the invitation still stands, and the God who called you is faithful to complete what he has started. Until we meet again, walk in your authority, rest in his presence, and never forget you are chosen, you are loved, and your story is far from over. Go in peace, go in power, go in the unshakable knowledge that heaven itself is cheering you on. Amen.